Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. It's great to be with you today. We're taping this very early in the morning. So if you see it before 1 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to be referencing an article that's going to publish at 1 o'clock Eastern. If you see it after, make sure you go and read it. But again, hello, good to be with all of you. Before we get started today, I just very quickly want to take a second and thank you. We are growing exponentially. We are booming, and it's because you guys are hitting the subscription button. You're reading our articles, you're sharing it with people, and I appreciate it. Yesterday, we did 15 pieces of original Raider content for you, and it's 100% free. I appreciate the company I work for, that their mentality is let's give it to people. And you don't need to pay people for things that we give you for free. So we've got great analysis. We look at the team coming ahead. So we got a lot of information on Chicago, if that's an interest to you, because that's who the Raiders play next. We're keeping track of all the day-to-day transactional things with the roster. We're bringing you press conference breakdowns. We're in the locker rooms. We're everywhere. So without you, we don't get to continue to add staff and hire staff, and we're able to because we are booming. And it's because of you guys. And I want you to know, I clearly know it's not because of this mug. And you guys are fantastic, and I appreciate you, and I'm grateful for you. And I just want to always take time a couple times a week and thank you, Raider Nation. I'm going to be talking in a little bit about my article. I'm not going to divulge everything that's in it. You need to go read it. But before I do, I want to read a couple emails. I don't do this enough, and that bothers me. I get so many responses. I try a couple times a day to just jump on social media when I have, 15 minutes or so, or 20 minutes, and just interact with you because I love interacting with fans. And I know some people in the media have said to me, "Why do you do that?" Well, that's why there's a mute button. And so if somebody's obnoxious, you just broom them and mute them. But 99% of the fans are great. And I've said this multiple times, but I'll say it again. The Montreal Canadian fans in hockey are the most knowledgeable fans there are in hockey, maybe the Toronto Maple Leafs as well. I think that's probably fair. When you look at college football in Nebraska, very knowledgeable fans. They know the game inside and out. St. Louis Cardinals in baseball, Indiana Hoosiers in college basketball, Laker fans in the NBA. But when you get to the NFL, there's no fan base that knows the game better than Raider Nation. I mean, you can have a hairdresser sit there, break down a cover three and why, she thinks they could have went to a man over with a stun on the defensive line. I mean, that's just the way it is. They're very, very smart. And so I'm just because somebody disagrees with you doesn't mean that they're a bad person. I hate this mentality in our country right now, and you see it from every direction. Is if you disagree with me, you hate me. That is so stupid. If you can't disagree with people and have conversations, that's what's wrong. And so I don't mind that one bit. And I love to interact with you guys. So I got a couple of emails. One comes to us from Melissa. I think it's from Melissa, but she wants to know, why do I explain myself so much in my podcast? And I think that's a great one. So let me give you a couple of points. I don't think some have accused me of being apologetic, and I'm not in the least bit. They're my opinions. If you disagree, I don't care. That's fine. Not God. But when I get several comments from people, I'll give you a quick one. Several people questioned me, and I think it was after the Green Bay game when I gave the special teams an A, but Daniel Carlson missed 2 field goals. Now, there were some, Hondo, you're so stupid, fat, F you, whatever. I just mute them and get rid of them. I literally don't care. What's funny is that when you mute them, they think they're living rent free in your head, and I don't even see it. But enough people asked and like, hey, we watch you. It interests us. Can you explain it? So I had no problem explaining to people. Every area did really well. Daniel did miss 2, but on one of them, the Packer player propelled themselves up into the air off another player, which is against the rules, and it didn't get called. And the other one was a 52-yard field goal that hit the upright. Okay, he was off by 6 inches, and this is a guy that never misses. I'm going to give him a mulligan once in a while. I don't think it's apologizing. I think it's being respectful of people that watch your program and have legitimate questions. Now, invariably, now somebody's going to say, "But you didn't answer mine." Okay, I get a ton. I can't answer them all, but if I start to see something is repetitive, and it seems to be a lot of people have that question, then I'm absolutely going to address that. And it's not being apologetic. I think it's taking people inside the building. Now, there is sometimes I can't tell you things. And as a media person, I hate doing that to you. It almost sounds like, nah, 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 nah. I know something you don't. I hate that. I hate it. I don't even think hate is a strong enough word. But there are times, like people have asked me, why did you say that you'd be shocked if Hunter Renfrow wasn't on the roster? Because I did. And I told you that if and when he ever leaves, I'll explain to you why I said it. I never said definitively he won't be there. I said I would be shocked. I'm still shocked today he's on the roster. He doesn't hate them. They don't hate him. There's no animosity. It's not an anger relationship at all. I'm not going to get into it right now. Why? I don't think it's fair to the organization. I don't think it's fair to Hunter. And I'm certainly not going to give up sources. But when people ask, I don't mind being held accountable to that. Not in the least bit. I reported when the Raiders went to LA to play the Chargers that I'd be stunned if Brian wasn't the quarterback. I didn't make a definitive statement that he would be. I said I would be stunned. And when I landed in LA, got off the plane, I tweeted, just heard from some folks from the Aiden. I'm still stunned, but I know what happened on the inside. And again, I hate that nah crap. Not doing that. But it's just sometimes, I'll give you one. My dad used to always say that, hey, we can disagree in this family, but when we walk out of this house, we're family. We keep our issues here. I agree with him. There are things because of my position that I get to know that I'm not going to report. Not doing it. Just won't. Oh, the Raiders will pull his axis. No, I'm a member of the Pro Football Writers Association. As long as I'm not making it personal, I'm doing my job. There's no issue. The Raiders aren't that way. But I also don't feel like it's my job to hurt the organization. And if I have information that I don't think is necessary to be disseminated, I'm not going to do it. Or if I think the information is important to disseminate, but there's no reason to give up a source, why would you do that? It'd be foolish. Absolutely foolish. So again, I thought that was a great question. Thank you. Another email here, and I lost my original sheet, so I don't remember who emailed this, but it was somebody asking about analytics. How much do the Raiders do analytics? Now, first of all, you saw Josh McDaniels talk about this last week. You can go watch the video. I have it up. But analytics are a humongous part of what the Raiders do. But unlike Los Angeles, which has the worst coach in the NFL, in my opinion, he's terrible. He costs his team a couple games every year. And he's only analytics. Josh does analytics with intelligence. And I agree with him. So, for example, I'm going to make this up. This is not a Raider analytic. If you know that when you go for it on third down with 5 or less yards to go, that you convert 58% of the time, that would induce people to go for it more. Excuse me, on 4th and 5, not third. That would induce people to go for it more on 4th down. Got a better than 50-50 chance. But what if it's 3rd and 5? I mean, at 3rd and 5 and you're at your 7? Not wise. What if it's 3rd and 5 and you're going, and that's your analytic going against the Raiders, but Max Crosby isn't on the field? You may have a 58% chance, but if Max Crosby on the field, the percentage goes up. So I may be more apt to go for it without Max on the field than with Max on the field. And Josh does a really um, Josh's staff does a very good job of accumulating the analytics and then them working through it with intelligence. I think that's the best way. You certainly don't want to be the Chargers, dear God. You don't want to be the Chargers. But um, I think you have to use analytics in today's modern sports. It's just out there and it's available. So there's your answer on analytics. Another one came I thought was really interesting. Someone wanted to know, will I continue to do podcasts every day? As long as I have information, I'm not doing one to just do one. Now, sometimes I may have just a little bit more, but I'm still going to do a podcast. So it may be a regurgitation of something you've heard previously, but I do bring new information. Anytime you see a new podcast, that's because there's something to discuss. And I would love to do one every day. I enjoy these. I enjoy you. I enjoy interacting with you. It's why I jump on social media. I appreciate fans. And without you, I don't have a job. Let's just be really blunt. So why would somebody not want to interact with you? It's like saying I want to get married, but I don't want to see my wife. Man, I love my wife. I love my children. Love them. It's a joy. I have a son that we adopted who's just he's something else. And he likes to come and bang on my office door. And my wife one day said, she goes, I'm sorry, honey. Uh, I know you're working. I said, you're darn right I'm working. And man, I don't ever want to be so busy that my son banging on my door doesn't get my attention. I love it. And why would you not want to interact with people that are important to you? If the fan's not important, then it doesn't matter if you don't interact with them. Well, you are to me. And so I want to bring you a podcast every time I have relevant information for you. And that's a great answer to, not a great answer, but that was a great question. I hope that's a great answer. Okay. I had another person ask me this, and I'm still going to have my question answer article this week. I apologize because I know you guys will say, what up, Jason? But I want to answer some of your questions in podcasts every week. I think that's important. That makes it a conversation. It's just not a monologue. Um, Mick Lombardi, we have the video up. Make sure you go watch it. Discussed reps and how reps are distributed in practice. There were some people yesterday disagreeing with me on some discussion on social media about reps. That's fine. Nobody crossed the line. They weren't bad. People are entitled to any opinion they want. But as a person that's in the building, that's interacting, I know what's happening. Mick talked about it yesterday. There's not a lot of reps. But I will tell you, if Jimmy is not healthy, and I told you in my Monday podcast that the feeling in the building was that Jimmy was not going to play this weekend. I can tell you as of the taping of this, and there may have been some information that came late last night or this morning that I haven't gotten yet, but as the taping of this, I still think the feeling is he's probably not playing. I don't think that's definitive, but if some new information has come out to them, then I apologize for that. But the feeling at the time of taping is that no, if that's the case, if Jimmy doesn't go, Aiden O'Connell is going to be the starting quarterback in Chicago. That's the plan. Now, Josh isn't going to address it, and why should he? Make Chicago guess. Make them have to plan. And we'll see. All right. I want to dig in now on my article today because we got a general manager, an NFL executive, not saying if it's a GM or what, who talked about the Raiders. And we had another executive from a team that's the Raiders are on their schedule this year that commented about there's no threat with the deep ball. None. And another guy talking about how he's competed against Josh a lot. And Josh, they always had to game plan for a deep ball, and it's hurting. Now, the conventional wisdom is, well, the offensive line sucks. Well, they didn't last year, and it's basically the same guys. Do I think they're the best offensive line in the National Football League? Not at all. But when they're able to stack the box, and what that means is bring more people closer to the line of scrimmage to stop the run. And if it's a pass, put pressure on Jimmy. You can't blame an offensive line when there's 8 rushers and there are 5 blockers, or 7 rushers and 5 blockers, or 6 and 7, or 6 and 8. That's just the reality of the situation. I think Josh has done a good job of calling for some chips, which is where your running back hits a rusher real quick and then gets out into his route. I think that they've done some things, but my article uses some quotes by Josh McDaniels, who makes things very clear of where he thinks the problem is. I laugh sometimes because people will say, well, Josh, all he says is, and he does say it a lot, but we all have our colloquialisms when we speak a lot. I always laugh at people who take shots at Josh for saying, which he does. I'm one who has a tendency when I'm talking to say, hey, I'm sorry if you disagree. We all have our colloquialisms, but isn't it amazing? It's the people that don't have a mic, who nobody's listening to, criticizing them. It's called the man in the arena. I think Josh says a lot. I think the problem is a lot of people don't listen. I say this all the time. At no time in the history of our country have we had more communication. But I also think in no time in our history have we had less listening. And so we take some of Josh's comments, the questions that he was asked on Monday that I asked him. And I think he makes it very clear where the problem is. I mean, Josh didn't get on an airplane to come take this job and forget how to coach. And prior to being here, he was feared in the league on offense, called a genius. His red zone was phenomenal. Now I think we are learning that him and Bill Belichick were made to look really good because of a guy named Tom Brady. But it still doesn't mean he forgot. Now, no excuses. It's his job to fix. Okay. You don't like your offensive line? Okay. You should have done more to fix it if you don't like it. But they do. Clearly, or they wouldn't have done what they've done. Okay. This is not making fun of or wishing ill harm on Jimmy Garoppolo, but you can go back and watch my podcast and read what I wrote when the Raiders signed him. I said, if Jimmy Garoppolo stays healthy for 17 games, Dave Ziegler and Josh McDaniels look like geniuses. But if he doesn't, and I did not think he would, and said it, but if he doesn't, they deserve all the criticism. I'm sorry, you've played 6 games and Jimmy's played in 4.5. He can't stay healthy. Do I think he's a wimp? Of course not. Do I think he's a bad guy? No way. He's a great guy. But he's off injured. That's the reality of what you have when you sign a Jimmy Garoppolo. And every game, we're seeing time and time again players open downfield. Jimmy either doesn't see him, which I don't believe, or he's not throwing it, which I do believe. And we know that either it's because coach is telling him not to, which I don't believe, or he doesn't have confidence in his ability to deliver the ball, which I do believe. Now, I hear people say all the time, well, Jimmy can't throw the deep ball. Well, I can't come into agreement with that because I've watched him do it. Can I be as, in the words of Arsenio Hall, can I be as shocked as you that he's not doing it? Yes. But to say he can't when I have seen him wouldn't be honest. I am perplexed that he's not throwing it. I 100% believe he has no confidence. None whatsoever. Now, if he doesn't, and I'm right, okay, well, this is the guy that this franchise married to for this year and next year. You're married to him. His contract, you're married. People say, well, then let's just trade him. Okay, who's going to trade him and take that contract? Genius. It's just not that easy. And so the Raiders are married to him. And so now, if he's not that guy and he's unable to deliver it, you either have to change your scheme, or you're going to have to get somebody in there who can put the ball downfield, or you're going to put a boot in his butt and say, listen, Jimmy, here's the deal. We can't run this system without that threat. Take your shots. I mean, the guy's got more interceptions and touchdowns. Let's not pretend like it can get a whole lot worse. It can get worse, but not like a whole lot. I mean, you can't even score over 20 points as an offense. The only time you go 20 is when Max Crosby, Bilal Nichols, and Patrick Graham's band of merry misfits gets a safety. So this article digs in deep, and I hope that you really enjoy it. I think that you will. As usual, it's us trying to provide great information to you because you deserve it. I want you to be the most well-informed. So again, thank you. I'll be over at the facility later today, going to be talking to Josh McDaniels. Going to be talking to Devontae Adams today, and going to be in the locker room talking to a bunch of guys as well in that practice. So we're going to have, again, a ton of information, lots of content for you today. Check out that article at 1 Eastern, if you would. I really think it will help you in the biggest myth that is out there right now, and it is a myth, and an NFL executive pointed it out to me, by the way, is that Jimmy can't do anything because of the offensive line. False narrative. Not accurate at all. This offensive line is taking a beating. Some of it deserved, but most of it, it's not. I mean, no sacks last week. And you look at how many times they were under pressure, that was pretty good. Pretty good. So, all right. So from all of us at Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network, thank you for being with us today. Love starting my day with you. Or if you're watching in the evening, like to end my day with you. I appreciate y'all. Make sure you're checking us out. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter at Hondo Carpenter, HondoCarpenter. Please hit that like, subscribe, follow button. Appreciate y'all. Have a great day.